We are joined by our US correspondent for The Australian and Sky News contributor, of course, Cameron Stewart. Cam, all right, so let's unpack yesterday. Plenty to unpack, isn't there, Laura? From Super Tuesday, what's the wash-up been? I mean, I made the point yesterday, it was a friend who told me this. When it comes to Joe Biden, it was almost like it was bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and he's hit a grand slam home run, and now he's back into the game.
Sounds like Tim Gilbert.
Absolutely, Pete. I mean, what a week Joe Biden has had. You know, landslide win in South Carolina, too moderate. Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar leaving and supporting his campaign. And then all of a sudden, a very, very powerful performance across the country on Super Tuesday, capped off by the news this morning here in the United States, of course, that billionaire Michael Bloomberg is out of the race and is backing him. Now, of course, this leaves Biden as the only moderate candidate in the race against Sanders, and of course Elizabeth Warren is still there. It's just a huge, amazing few days for Joe Biden. You wouldn't read about it. It's extraordinary. I mean, he was really down and out just 2 weeks ago in this campaign. He was written off by almost everyone, but now he is the odds-on favourite, and the whole race has been utterly transformed by the last few days.
Yep, it certainly has, and he's certainly got a bit of a pep in his step. We saw there Bernie Sanders not giving up. He didn't give up last time either. I guess he doesn't care about drawing the ire of the Democratic establishment, but if there is a contested convention, he could really hurt Joe Biden's, momentum going into November, couldn't he?
Look, a contested convention would be a real problem for the Democrats, Laura. It just gives the impression of disunity, which is something that, of course, Donald Trump and Republicans would obviously feed off very strongly. And so that's what the Democrats don't want to have happen. But, they're neck and neck at the moment, these two, Bernie Sanders and Biden. And so really, unless Biden starts to pull away or Sanders starts to pull away, the prospect of a contested convention is definitely on the cards, which would be an incredible sight. But look, at the moment, all the momentum really is with Biden. I mean, he really is looking the goods at the moment. He's not a great campaign performer. We've talked about that before. But momentum is everything in politics. And he's going to get a lot of money as a result of this. He's going to have Bloomberg's massive financial resources behind him as well. So all of a sudden, that's not going to be a problem for Joe Biden, which it has been in the past. So, you can really see a situation where he edges in front of Sanders in the next few weeks.
Okay, you did mention that Bloomberg's money. So it's been well reported, Cam, that he's spent in excess of $500 million on advertising. Did he ever think that he could possibly win the nomination, or was it more tactical in the way that Clive Palmer, say, was spending so much money in the recent election campaign here, knowing that it wasn't really going to do anything, but it was helping someone else, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question, Pete, but I think Bloomberg really was in it thinking that he could win it. I mean, no candidate has ever spent this sort of money before. $550 million or something he spent. The next closest is Bernie Sanders, who spent $55 million, so it's 10 times the amount. Bloomberg really thought he could come in and simply do it because, it was something that had never been done before, never been tried before. But, I guess the lesson of this really is that, people want a real human candidate. In the end, that really matters. I mean, people didn't really see Bloomberg in real life. They just saw him on the television commercials. He didn't interact with voters on stages. He didn't take questions a lot of time. And when he finally got in the debate stage, we all saw how wooden he actually was. So I think in the end, no matter how much you do spend, voters do need to relate to someone to actually elect them.
Look at some of the, Democratic commentators. They're looking at Joe Biden and actually arguing that Donald Trump is still the most unpopular president in history, according to the polls. And when you look at where he won the election, actually Joe Biden is doing quite well in those particular states. I mean, sitting here in Australia, it looks very difficult to see how Donald Trump could lose, but you can't rule anything out, can you, Cam?
Definitely not, Laura. I mean, Donald Trump has a lot on his side. The economy is still strong, although the coronavirus is raising a lot of questions about that. Donald Trump has kept a lot of his promises to his base. He's still got very strong loyal support from Republican voters, etc., etc. But you know what? Joe Biden is the opponent that Donald Trump did not want to face. He's made that quite clear, in fact, with his tweets and comments in recent days. He clearly wants Bernie Sanders to win. Sanders, with the self-described socialist tag, a much easier target for Trump and the Republicans in an election campaign. As you say, Biden does hail from the Midwest, from the little town of Scranton in Pennsylvania. He's a much more middle-class Joe kind of guy. You know, he's got a lot of traction in the Midwest, those very states that flipped over to Trump in 2016. Republicans are worried that Biden will be a much more formidable opponent in lots of ways. And for those people who just don't like Trump at all, he represents a throwback, if you like, to the Obama era. Again, that's attractive to many Democrat voters and quite a few swinging voters as well.
It's interesting now. I guess that Trump is probably going to prey on Biden's forgetfulness. He introduced his wife as his sister yesterday, or his sister as his wife on stage, and he called it Super Thursday a couple of days ago, not Super Tuesday. So it's really dovetailing into that Sleepy Joe tag that Donald Trump's giving him.
I mean, not to throw stones, because we are sitting in a glass house right here. Absolutely. Cam Stewart, great to see you.
Hey, just quickly, Cam, before you go, quick response here. Is there any rush on at all in America for toilet paper like there is in Australia with the coronavirus?
Yeah, there is. But there's much less so.
Right.
Much less panic over here than there seems to be in Australia, just from what I can see on the social media.
Okay, Cam, thank you.